Hey, happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome back. Welcome back here to Wolf Bitcoin, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Just getting some settings here. Guys, we're back. It's another lovely week. We're back here on Wolf Bitcoin with our weekly and daily shows, spaces, streams, all of that good stuff. So happy to have you guys. I see there's some people trickling in here. Let me know if you're jumping in. Let me know that you're hanging with us. Let me know that you're watching. Drop a quick comment. Drop a quick message here in the chat. We should be live on X and we should be also live on YouTube. So hopefully some of you guys start coming in here and hanging with us during this show. Sorry guys, I'm a little bit distracted here, but these settings, they for some reason, I think we're on season 2 of StreamYard Hates Me. There we go. All right, so we should be good. I don't know why for some reason my layout here for some of these was moved. Some of the audio settings was changed, but that's how it goes with these live streams. You know, when you're doing pre-recorded content, it's really easy to edit out all this type of stuff. You just chop it, get rid of it. And no one knows that you had technical difficulties on lives. It's a little bit different on a live stream, but that's what I love about live streams is just this unscripted. It is what it is. You're seeing it raw, unedited, and it's cool. It just kind of goes with my personality, if we're being honest here. So yeah, look, let's do the housekeeping stuff. Let's get that out of the way. So I see as you guys are coming in here, just quick disclaimer that we give every single time. Everything we're going to talk about today is just my opinion. It's my thoughts, my observations, my ideas. None of it is to be taken as financial advice or recommendations to buy, sell, any of that. Not giving any of that advice here. These shows are purely for education and for, I guess you could say for entertainment as well. I hope they're entertaining, at least. If they're not informative, if you don't learn anything, I hope at least you get a kick out of it for some reason. Maybe you're just laughing at me, and that's fine. That's cool. I'll take it. But yeah, let's jump back into these. I'll pull up my trading view here. Let's jump back into these markets. Shout out again, as usual. Shout out to Public, our partners here that make these shows a possibility. You can check them out at public.com/wolf to learn more about Public. Public is the investing platform for those who take it seriously. You can use AI agents, agentic tools across a wide range of assets. So stocks, bonds, options, crypto, short-term strategies, long-term strategies. You can find that all on Public. So check them out, public.com/wolf. Go support our sponsors. Go support the people that support the show. So I don't know why when I said that, the show, it reminded me of the old Gary Vee thing. Let's get into the show. You guys remember that when Gary Vee used to do the show thing? Maybe some of you guys are old enough to remember that. Been around a little bit. That's probably what, man. That Gary Vee stuff is probably pre-2010. It has to be pre-2010. It has to be pre-2010. Some of you might not have been born yet. Crazy to think that. But guys, we're live. We're going to jump into this. Lots happening here. Let me just finish pulling up the trading view screen here. Share. Yes. I'm sure I want to share. Yes, I'm positive. I want to share. And then let's jump into this stuff. Let me just do a quick check over on X. Make sure everything looks good. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah. I think we're all right. Well, that comment caught me off guard there. I read it through the wrong lens. I was thinking of something else, and it caught me off guard. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let's see quick. All right, cool. Hey, thank you guys for the repost, Darth, Prospector. Thank you guys. The usuals, man. It's the usual suspects. Usual suspects coming in here, hanging out with us, supporting the show. Usual suspects. So appreciate you guys. Look, let's jump into this here. I'm going to switch views here. And let's take a look at BTC. So Bitcoin coming down on a Monday. Did we also drop last Monday? Yeah, Monday, Tuesday also dropped. Monday before that was also red. Okay, so we're getting some red Mondays. We're getting some red Mondays for the last few weeks as we're coming down here. Notice that, you know, Bitcoin, although it is trending down, is still, you know, in this ascending structure. There's really nothing about this that has been invalidated or broken yet. You still have the potential to continue putting in some higher lows here on Bitcoin. And, you know, Bitcoin is also putting in higher highs. So all is sound through the lens of, you know, you're getting an ascending channel here. This really only starts to be concerning for the bulls if we lose these lows here. If we lose the lows from beginning of April, late March, if we lose these lows here at about 65, 66, then, you know, Bitcoin is no longer putting in higher lows. Bitcoin is then now putting in a lower low relative to those lows we just mentioned, March, April. So that is a pretty key area to watch. There's a lot of volume here on the volume profile. Big, chunky piece of volume here. So I do suspect getting through this mess could be quite choppy. Usually it's these voids, it's these low volume gaps that price can move up through pretty quickly when you're trending with some speed. It can just kind of melt through these areas. If you don't have volume or momentum, though, it does act as almost like some type of resistance, as like you're kind of moving into a little bit of some rough waters. It does happen, as we kind of saw on the way up. But on the way down, I'd expect that, you know, this is probably going to be pretty choppy. And again, no coincidence, right? That it's below these March, April lows that your volume profile really starts to taper off here. So again, kind of going with what I'm sharing here, it's like this could be choppy. Once you were to lose this like 65, 66, I do suspect that you could see some acceleration to the downside. If that were to happen, if you were to lose this level, this is likely where you'd start to see some acceleration to the downside. But currently, all of this volume here, everything from I'd say about 67 through about 70, 71 should help to kind of prop up Bitcoin's price here for a little bit, at least in the short term. So we'll see if that ends up playing out, and if that is the case. Derek with the repost. Appreciate you, Derek. Thank you very much. By the way, if you guys are commenting, I cannot see them on StreamYard. I don't know if StreamYard's broken. It might be broken. Somebody drop me a comment just so I can verify this. If you're on X or if you're on YouTube, drop a comment real quick. Let me just verify and make sure the comments are working, because I'm not seeing any comments right now. So I don't know if that's something that's broken on my side, or if just you guys just aren't commenting today because it's a Monday and because it's red and because your Sailor's selling and the world's ending and, you know, it's all over, right? Maybe because of that. Or, you know, maybe it's streamer. Or maybe just you guys just aren't commenting, man. You know? Maybe you just guys are not commenting. Cool. So, but that's, look, I mean, this about sums up like my thoughts on BTC. This is actually pretty much in line with, let me go fetch this just so we can review it here on stream. But this is pretty much in line with what we had covered. Here, let me do it this way, actually, because this will be a cleaner way to do it, maybe. is yeah, let me here. I'm going to take down StreamYard really quickly just to share with you guys briefly. And I'm going to present, share screen, do a window. I want to share this here. All right, let me know if you guys can see that, but you should be seeing. No, you cannot see that. Now you can. All right, cool. So you should be seeing that. No, you cannot see that. Where the heck did it go? Here it goes. All right. So this is the post that I want to go back and talk about, right? So I posted this at the beginning of May when we were trending up in this exact channel. We were trending up in this exact channel here that we're currently in right now. And, you know, the idea that I proposed was that we saw a spike up into the low 80s, and then it comes back down to the bottom of the channel. And essentially what I said is it doesn't really give the bulls their wish of higher prices just yet, because a lot of bulls are calling for move back 90 plus 100K, but it also doesn't give the bears, you know, the lows that they want. Bears are they're hungry, man. They're salivating for that sub 60K BTC. And the reasons we looked at were quite simple back here. You know, we had a 6-month rolling VWAP. If you don't know what a VWAP is, it's a volume weighted average price. So it's using volume to basically, just like an EMA is giving you an average of price over time. You know, if you have a 20 period EMA, it's 20 days, 20 weeks, whatever you're looking at. Rolling VWAPs do the same thing, but they're looking at a rolling period of time, and they're using volume to kind of weigh that average out. So that 6-month VWAP was at 80,000. You can see it right here, 80,688. So that was right here. You know, we were likely to run up into that and potentially reject from that. We had the 800 and the 200-day exponential moving averages. You can see them right here. There's your 200. There's your 800. We were looking at those overhead. We had this golden pocket on these fibs here, which if you pulled a fib from the top of this move here at 98K down to that 60K low, you can see here the fibs, the 618 to the 65. You know, that area was just right above price. You know, that made sense there. And there's a lot of liquidity. If you checked CoinGlass or any of these, there was just a ton of liquidity for the taking here, right around 80K, a little bit above 80K. And then there wasn't much. After that, there wasn't much. There were some pockets of it, but nothing like what you had here. Nothing like that hot zone you had at 81, 82, somewhere around there. So, you know, we called that out. We looked at that. And we essentially said that a rejection in the low 80s, which is where that happened, could move price back towards the channel lows, right? And at that time, channel lows were down here at about 68, 69K. And then I also called out that this would still be higher lows within the channel. This is still perfectly sound structure here, preserving this channel, this ascending channel. And so we said a rejection in the low 80s could, you know, move price back down here. Nothing would really change. And then we called to attention this 3-month, a quarterly rolling volume weighted average, which at the time was at around 70.7, 70.8. And that's changed since. We'll go look at that live on the chart. But that VWAP has moved since then. But we did say, look, that could potentially act as support on a move down. And then you also got the bottom of the channel. You've also got all this volume here. There's a lot of reasons why a rejection would make sense to find a bounce at the bottom of the channel. And that's where we are now. So, you know, taking that back to TradingView. Let's go back to TradingView. All right. Let's move that over. So back on TradingView, this is that same channel. So let's throw on some of the things we're looking at. Let's throw on the VWAPs. So here was that 6-month rolling VWAP that we were watching for rejection. We did go slightly above it and then ultimately failed back below it, right? Like it was trying to hold it. It really was. Broke below, and now we've rejected from it twice. So we've got 2 rejections off that 6-month VWAP. The 3-month quarterly that was down here, we were watching that. At the time, it was somewhere down here, I believe. And since then, it's curled up a little bit. Today we've gone through it. But I think if price can get back above it, if there can be a reclaim here on the daily chart, you know, sometime this week. I mean, if we can get a weekly close back above that, it might look pretty good. And I think the odds increase, you go higher. Let's turn on. Uh-oh. Hold on. I'm here marking up the chart by mistake. Nope. Leave those on. Let's throw on the EMAs. So we need to see the 200 and 800. Okay, those are already turned on. 200 and 800, those acted as perfect resistance back then. And then let's see here. Boom, that was that original push up. Those were the original fibs that we had on there. Yeah, so this is pretty much the original drawing. I mean, if you're going to compare it to what was shared, essentially this is it. This is that idea that was shared. So very, very similar. Didn't play out perfect, but I mean, it's not done yet either. I would say it's still not done. But look, there it is essentially, right? We were looking for a move higher. We got the move higher. We were looking for rejection around these EMAs. We got the rejection around the EMAs. We were looking for a move back to the bottom of this channel, and we're close. We're pretty close. So I'd say so far this thesis is holding up pretty well. Looks like this was the right way to think about the market. So far that's playing out. Well, if that thesis was correct at the highs, I have to lean into the potential that it's going to be correct here at the lows as well. So I will be looking for opportunities for Bitcoin to find a bounce, find some support down here in the upper 60, lower 70 region. And then we'll see. We'll have to reassess after that. I'll have to see, okay, if it does get a bounce, what could that bounce look like? We'll zoom out. We'll look at the monthly. We'll look at the quarterly, stuff like that. But so far, just wanted to show you guys that that idea that we talked about. This is how it played out. This is the result of that idea, that thesis that we had. And this is the beauty of doing technical analysis on these markets. Is sometimes you have an idea and you have to you put it out there. You put it out there. You want to test that idea, just like in science class. You guys probably remember, like sometimes you'd have a hypothesis and you wanted to test it. You wanted to test this thing out to see if there's any kind of actual theory behind it, right? Sometimes you test some stuff and it's like, no, that obviously doesn't hold. It's not making sense after we ran this test. So that's essentially what happened here. We had an idea. The market's testing that out right now. We'll see if it's sound. We'll see if this is going to be an area where we get a little bit of a bounce. But look, I think this is the fun. This is the fun of looking at the charts. This is the excitement of testing some of these ideas that we can develop through technical analysis. So let's put this channel away and look, let's zoom out. Let's go out to a monthly view. So on the monthly, we did talk quite a bit about the risk, even on the weekly. Like when we were up here, we talked about the risk of losing 79.5, and we did see that with this weekly candle back here from the 11th of last month. Since then, we've continued moving to the downside. What that then ends up ultimately looking like on the monthly is that we have this massive wick to the upside where we did sweep this range here. So essentially you saw price take out the high of the previous month and heck, even the high of this entire range. It took the February high as well. And then we ended up closing back within the range, and we're now heading back down to the bottom of the range, right? So you had a failed auction, you had a failed attempt to break out. We now kind of look down here towards the bottom of the range to see if this can hold a support, because the top was it held as resistance. We weren't able to get out of this range. So we're looking lower. It doesn't have to come all the way. But if it does come near these lows, we'll be fishing for some opportunity here. So we are watching that. If we look at the quarterly chart, quarterly is not looking that great either. Quarterly still has quite a bit of downside pressure, as seen through this failure to really hold any of that move. I mean, essentially, we got a month left on the quarter, and it's already retraced. In that month, it's already retraced, 13% or so. So it's pulled back quite a bit of that move, about 75. I'd say about 75 70 to 75% of the move higher has now been retraced in this quarter. Pretty easily. Yeah, we're right at about like 75. Yeah, 75%. So still seeing a lot of sell pressure, a lot of downside pressure, and a failure to really hold and make progress to the upside, which is pretty typical with bear market behavior. Again, Ben Cowan gets a lot of hate. There was actually an interesting space with Ben yesterday, and he's a guy that I can relate a lot to Ben, because he's a guy that tries to let the data form his opinions and not the other way around. And he gets a lot of flack for it, and sometimes the data will lead you, to be on the wrong side. Sometimes it's just our ability to read the data. We get a bias. We're humans. Sometimes we just see something, or we fail to see something, and we're on the wrong side of a move. And I think that's perfectly normal. But Ben's a great analyst. He's a great analyst. I don't think anyone builds a following of, million plus followers across several platforms. I don't think you build that kind of a following unless you're doing something correct. I really don't. I know a lot of people think that all those guys get to those levels just by fraud and faking and all this stuff. I don't know that you can. I'm a firm believer that the market, whether it's the social market or the financial market or real estate market, I'm a firm believer that, it tends to self-enforce. It tends to self-enforce. It tends to rebalance. And when something is undervalued, overvalued, when something's just not right, it tends to sort that out. So I think if guys like Ben are more wrong than right, I think you would see that reflected. I think you'd be losing followers, losing trust. I think he'd be losing something, and he's not. I think that guy's doing just fine. Papa Solsta says, dump it. I mean, look, this is looking pretty dumpy. No doubt about it. It is looking pretty dumpy. I would say, like, this is a very simple way to look at this range now is BTC so far. I mean, again, we're 2/3 of the quarter through, right? There's 1 month left in the quarter. Can it go back up? Yes. And anything is possible. Like, I just want to clarify that it can. It is possible that something happens and we're bullish the next 30 days and this ends up closing green. However, given where we currently are, given the drawdown that we've recently seen, given the fact that, Bitcoin rejected from the area that everyone, I don't want to say everyone, but that those that frequent the wolf spaces were saying made sense for rejection. This is pretty in line with that. This is pretty in line with the type of behavior we thought could be on display. Now, I've maintained the possibility that there could have been a bounce, and there still could be a bounce, whether that bounce happens here at 68, 69K, and we try and put one more leg up, or if that bounce had happened at 74, 75, that was another area that I was watching for it. But so far, look, the bulls just are not stepping in. The bulls here are just not doing their part. This market continues to sell off, and no one's really buying or bidding in size here to the extent that it starts to offset the amount of selling that we're seeing here. So, similar to what we saw here, right? People got really excited, and then ultimately that was a massive move to the downside. So this next move could be a big one. Now, let's go back to that quarterly chart, because I do want to highlight the next level that we need to be paying attention to. So on a quarterly chart, very simple. If we failed to reclaim last quarter's high, we need to be looking to last quarter's low. So last quarter's low is that 60K. That's our initial target area, is that 60K. That's where we're going to be looking. If we were to lose that, we do have this low back here from around summertime of last year. That is right around 49K. I would suspect that if we do end up losing this support here, last quarter's low, we probably are heading towards this wick over here. You can see this wick right here off to the left. So that's where I'd be looking. Could you also maybe come as deep as this level here, this 38? Yeah, that is kind of the next If this one gets taken out with some speed, this is that next area that I'd be looking. And then again, you just take it level by level. If that level is to not hold, then you're kind of looking below these lows here, which puts you in the 20s. And if that were to get lost, then you're kind of looking down here at the lows of the bear market, which puts you down in the teens. Again, I don't think these are highly likely. I don't think there's a really good chance that we're going to see these, but they are possibilities. They are possibilities, but we have to start with this local support here, then the next one, then the next one. We take it one level at a time. Let's look at the 6-month chart really quickly for BTC as well. 6 months, still a lot of, this is still good pressure to the downside, these 6-month candles. So this 6-month candle here is going to close at the end of the month, which is also the end of the quarter, and it's going to be the end of the first half of the year. So far, this is not looking great. Candle bodies are still nice, solid, size. They're not tiny bodies. More wick to the upside currently. This one here has wick to the downside, but again, it's got 30 days. It could fill that wick. Going to the 12-month chart for BTC, because we have talked about how ugly this last 12-month close was for Bitcoin, and we talked about the risk of this year not invalidating that. If this year does not invalidate that, and I mean, truly, we would have wanted to see an invalidation in the first half of this year. There is still a chance in the second half, but looking at this chart here and this type of reversal that you're getting, we have to consider the potential for a move down here to the bottom of 2024, which puts us right at that 38 to 42K zone. That is what TA would tell us that we need to be considering as the next potential liquidity area. It just is what it is. And then we can talk about some of these other areas that also are kind of interesting. If something like that were to happen, that you blow through some of these areas over here. But let's see, one level at a time, guys. One level at a time. One level at a time. We got to do it responsibly, a level at a time. What should we look at now? Do you guys have anything that you're looking at? I mean, that about covers my thoughts on BTC. Let's zoom in really quick, see if we're getting a bit of a bounce here. Yeah, look, you're getting some bounce. There's definitely some volume that's coming in here, but it's like I think this volume could probably be a little more aggressive still. But it is coming in. I don't know that it's significant enough for me to be convinced that I need to be aping in here at this price right now. But it's getting close. The next big area that's really of interest to me, and we've highlighted it here before. Let me see if I can find it. That ain't it. There she is. This area here, which is essentially 68.8 through about 70.5. This little unreclaimed piece of this vector here, that's a very, very interesting piece here. Let me move that over. So I will be watching this. Let's see what ends up happening here. That's a very, very interesting area. Let's clean it up a little bit. I think if we get one more dip down into this and maybe even through it, lightly through it, and again, that could look like something like this. It could be deep. I mean, it could come a little bit deeper. It could come down here near 67.7-ish. But I would want to see a violent reclaiming of this level to go higher, or if it's going to be tame, it could just dip. It could dip in here, give a little dippity dip, and then come out of it, then work on trying to go higher, something like that. And then I would be looking for some upside. If this were to happen, I'm initially looking for a move back up near 75K. 75K is going to be that primary area where I'd be expecting potential rejection. And why is 75K that area? Well, we were looking at 75K as potential support. So if we throw this rectangle on here, you can see why 75K is an area that matters on the way up. That's the 75K area here. You can see back in 2024, it's roughly where we rejected from. Same thing here on that last move before the election pump, right? We got this big pump that finally broke out through there. So you had essentially 75K resistance, turned into support, and then has been resistance here. Tried to flip it into support, now back below it. So if we were to come back up to 75K, I suspect it could act as resistance, and then maybe that is what then sends us down for some of this liquidity here at these prior lows. So that's kind of my game plan now. I was originally, again, I was kind of considering if we could bounce at 75, I wanted to see a move back up to 78, almost 79, and then that could take us lower. We didn't get that. So now we have to adapt. We have to adapt. We have to change our strategy. And currently, the way I'm reading this is potentially one more move down here into this very lovely area that we have below. Let's actually measure. Hold on here, because I haven't done this. Where does that sit on a fib retracement of this move here? So if we were looking at this move here, right, essentially 65 to 83, where does that put us? That puts us right below the golden pocket. We're getting a golden pocket bounce right now. This puts us right below that. And if we actually grab the fib from 60K, from the absolute low to the high of this range here, you know, if we do something like that, your golden pocket is a little bit below that. So I think this box that we've got highlighted here, I think it's probably pretty fair to say that there's a good chance it's going to get tagged. You know, whether it holds or whether we dip a little bit through that, I don't think it really matters in the bigger picture. But ultimately, I think what we're looking for here is trying to find a bounce here, coming up, potentially seeing 75K, you know, and it could be 75 up to almost 76 maybe, but 75 roughly act as resistance. And if that were to happen, then I think that is what maybe gives us the acceleration and the momentum to come down and take out 65 down here, at least 65, maybe even come down near 62. But I do think first we get a bounce. I think we get a bounce first. I don't think we're going to melt through 70K and go straight to 65. I think that's the lower likelihood scenario. Doesn't mean it's impossible. I'm reading it as like a lower likelihood compared to finding a short-term bounce, heading back up into the mid 70s, maybe even into the 80s, I think it's significantly less likely that you make it up into the 80s, but maybe even up into the 80s. You know, I could see a move back up here still, but I think it'd be quite a bit more work. We'd have to see what happens here at 75 on the way up. But if it does get past 75, then I do think maybe 79 to 80K gets another shot. I don't know that we make a move towards these highs again, but again, we can't rule anything out. If that channel is still in play, that original channel, I mean, if this is in play, then that's essentially, where did that drawing go that I just had put on there? I don't know where it went. But if this channel's in play and this is going to bounce down here somewhere and reclaim this, I mean, I have to consider the possibility that it could go back up. It really could. I have to consider the possibility that it could just move completely across the channel once again. It really could. So this is something that we'd have to consider as well. Right now, again, and like I always laugh at the comments that, you know, people will come on to shows like this or spaces like the Market Talk space, and they'll hear someone give a bull case, a bear case, give a short-term bounce or versus like a long-term rejection. Like they kind of, you know, they'll give like a very wholesome take where you're kind of covering a lot of possible scenarios. And then you get comments from people which are silly and they're quite funny. But you get comments along the lines of, oh, so they're basically saying it can go up or down. These guys don't know. And I laugh. And at the same time, I want to tell them, yeah, you're exactly right. We don't know. No one knows. That's the secret to all of this, is that no one knows. Some people are so desperately seeking the secret golden key that's going to unlock all the secrets of the universe, and you're going to suddenly know without a shadow of a doubt, just beyond all question, you're going to know exactly what's going to happen. And that's just, guys, that's a fairy tale that doesn't exist. I mean, now if we're talking a long enough time frame, like, yeah, okay, you can make predictions then saying like, yeah, you know what, I believe Bitcoin's going to go back up above 126, it's going to go back to 150K. Am I willing to put a time on it? Well, I don't know. In the next 10 years, maybe. Yeah, sure. I think it's fair in the next 10 years. You know, in the next 20 years, I think it's very likely in the next 20. In the next 50 years, I think it's pretty close to guaranteed in the next 50 years that it's going to be back over 126, right? In the next 1 year, I don't know. Maybe it's close. I don't know, you know. So context matters. Context matters. And a lot of times when we're sharing these TA takes and these market takes, you know, we're trying to, like, again, no one wants to give something of high conviction and then, you know, people listening don't have the full context or the nuance to be able to understand like where the invalidations are or what are the things that might change our minds overnight, you know, while you're thinking that we're sitting there so convicted of our thesis. Like, no, every good trader has conditions. All of this really is this is conditional statements about the market. It's reading the facts of the chart. This level got broken, this level got reclaimed. Like, you're reading the facts of the chart while putting conditions to it, basically saying, hey, if this thing keeps moving higher, then yeah, I'm pretty bullish. Like, these are the next areas I'd be looking. If it starts coming down, well, then these are the things I start paying attention to. It's all based around if then statements. And a lot of people struggle with that, but at its truest essence, that is what technical analysis and chart analysis is you're trying to gain a little bit of edge by planning for potential outcomes. That's all it is. It's to help you prepare. It's not about calling it. CT loves to use this type of stuff as like an opportunity to called it, you know, but that's not what TA is really about. That's not you. When you remove that, which is just a bunch of noise, truthfully, it's just a bunch of noise. But if you remove that, the called it stuff, you know, at the end of the day, like you should be doing all of this to give yourself an edge and to help you build better risk management strategies as far as trading and investing. That's all it's really for. So yeah, to the trolls and to the haters, yes, you're right. We don't know. We don't know because we don't have crystal balls, because we can't time travel and go into the future, because we're not insiders maybe that know this type of information ahead of time when companies are going to buy, sell, or investments are going to happen. We just don't. You know, as retail traders, we're looking at the same information that everyone's able to look at. We're looking at the charts. We're looking at the same on-chain stuff. We're looking at the same news cycles, like everything that everyone else is looking at. The difference is we try and build a framework around it to replicate a strategy and to repeat something over and over and over that has a good probability of producing favorable outcomes with a good expected value from those trades. That's pretty much what it is. So yeah, so if you ever run into an analyst or a trader that's claiming to know it all, that they only get it right all the time and they hold all the secrets of the universe, and if you follow them and subscribe to them, you too will unlock the power of the eagle eggs, like Nacho Libre says. Guys, that's all. It's fugazi. It's all bahooey. It's not real. It's not true. No one knows. You know, we're using this skill to speculate and to give ourselves edge. That's all it is. But that's my BTC read. Let's pivot over to stablecoin dominance really quickly before we wrap today. As you guys know, we had been looking at stablecoin dominance. Let me put this zone back on here. Where's my zone that I'm looking for? Where's my zone? God, tell me, don't tell me I deleted it. Don't tell me I deleted it. Hold on. Okay. delete stuff. Why would I have deleted that? Hold on, guys. We're gonna. Okay. Well, evidently it's gone. But we had. Man, we had a nice little zone right here, roughly around here. That's actually pretty close. That's actually pretty close. We had this little zone that we were watching here for stablecoin dominance. We were considering the possibility that push last Thursday going into Friday might have been the fake out. It might have been the false move above the zone, and then we were going to roll over and start heading lower. Was not the case. It actually, kind of found a little bit of support, and it's currently trying to get above that. No guarantees that it will, but it currently is looking like it wants to go higher. The beauty of this move, and here I'm going to remove this channel for now, but the beauty of this move, and I'm going to put another box here, is that it has now given us really clean structure to trade here on stablecoin dominance. Really clean structure. We now have clean highs followed by clean lows. This is beautiful market structure here. Beautiful market structure. So what might we do with this market structure? Well, there's two things. If price continues to push higher, if price continues to go higher, then essentially, if the market is to remain bullish, any moves below this low here is signaling to us that something is broken. So if this comes down and goes below this low, then this uptrend here, this uptrending move is likely changing. Something is happening because we're now breaking market structure to the downside. We're probably going to get a lower high next instead of a new higher high. But if instead we see that price pushes up here and it comes down and this low is respected and we start to round, it starts going higher, then we know that this is in fact continuing some type of uptrending structure. And we are then still, if this is held, we're looking for a break of whatever high gets put in and a continuation to new highs, right? So this is essentially giving us one step at a time market structure that we can look at. Right now, it's telling us that these lows are very likely protected. And if we can get a close above this high here, these lows are very likely protected as well. Meaning if this is going to continue higher, there's no reason to see a move back below these lows here on this stablecoin dominance chart. So it gives a structure. Now, by that same measure, if for some reason this rolls over and it starts heading down below here, that is also giving us a signal that something has now changed. And if this were to come back up, we are now looking for lower highs. We would now be looking for lower highs and potential rejection or a move lower on stablecoins, right? Very, very simple. This is very clean market structure. This is beautiful, beautiful market structure here. I love it. So I think there's two scenarios. Either we're going to see continuation to the upside, and this is our invalidation, right? This is our invalidation. Or we see a break of market structure to the downside, and then we're looking then for a lower high, and this is our invalidation. Very simple. There's two ways that can go. Very simple, right? I gave you the scenario for higher, and I gave you the scenario for lower. And this is why this level here is so critical, because this level is going to tell us everything we need to know when price comes back near that. Let's go back to BTC on the daily and see if we have a similar structure here. See, it's not as clean here on Bitcoin. This is why there's value in looking at that stablecoin chart. Stablecoin has given us this beautiful clean market structure here. Bitcoin does not. Bitcoin is a little wider. You still have some structure here at about 74 and change, but it's not as clean because you don't have a close. Your close is up here. You do have a wick here, right? So you do have some structure here. It's just not as clean. It's not as clean as a stable coin. So I'd still be watching here. If Bitcoin were to come back up and it can reclaim here at about like 74,200, I do think that there's a possibility that it wants to maybe move a little bit higher up here towards 77, 78. But I would probably be referencing this chart here to see if we get that breakdown below this structure here. Because if we do, If stablecoin breaks down below this level here, 10.66 or so, 6566, if we get a breakdown, then I am expecting that Bitcoin, if it hasn't moved yet, when that break happens, I do expect Bitcoin to make a move higher to follow and move in confluence with stablecoins here. So this is very clean. This is the current level to watch right here on the stablecoin dominance charts. Pay very much attention to this. If this ends up just being a fake out, a sweep of last Thursday's high here, if that's all this is, a break to the downside here will signal that was possibly it. This was just some kind of false move, failed rally, and then this is going to head lower, and we should see Bitcoin start to put in some kind of bottom and head higher as well. Any questions on that? Do you guys have any comments, questions, anything related to that? You guys are so quiet on a Monday. So quiet. I know you're there watching though, because I see the likes, I see the reposts. I don't see the comments. That's fine. That's fair. Maybe you guys are busy, you're driving, you're working, you're in the bathroom listening while you take care of business. Whatever that might be. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let me see. Yeah, no comments that I see here. Doesn't look like we're missing anything. We're sad. It could be that we're sad. It could be that we're sad as well. Fair point. People are probably a little disappointed and bummed out about this failed move. But again, Noah, right? Like this to me, even though a lot of people are already packing it up, they're saying, it's over. Until we really see a loss of 65, 66K of support, dude, I mean, there is that possibility. Like this could still exist. I'd be very careful on a move back up here, though. Chances are it could be a false move to basically trap bulls. But I mean, we'll take it level by level. If this thing keeps moving up, again, I look at the 12-month chart and I see the reasons why this should still go lower into the 50s, into the 40s on the high time frame. And I believe it. I believe the high time frame. I'm just going to choose to get paid if I'm wrong. And the way I do that is by looking for opportunities on this dump. And really, if there's one more leg, again, like this area down here, this like 68 area really, really looks juicy. If I can get the opportunity to take a long position and to buy down here at about 68, I'm going to take that. Why? I'm going to take that as a hedge in case I'm wrong and Bitcoin starts ripping higher, takes out 98, and the 4-year cycle is no longer in play, and bears are wrong, and this thing just starts shooting up. I want to have a long position in case I'm wrong about this going back into the 50s, 40s, maybe even 30s. I want to have this so I can at least get paid if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I at least want to get paid. Simple as that. Right? Simple as that. So I don't think it's over yet. I think it's looking like the higher probability is that it's breaking lower. But I will hedge against that with a long opportunity, William says it feels like the calm before the storm, for the better or for the worse. Yeah, exactly. We're here. Yeah, appreciate you guys being here, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Dude, are you a tattoo artist, by the way? Is that you doing work there on your image? That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. Or is that you getting some work done on yourself? Either way, let me know, man. I see Darren does things, liking comments and stuff on X. He'll probably pop in here in a little bit and say what's up, Probably pop in here and say what's up. DDT usually does. You own a shop in Ohio? Dude, sweet, man. Sweet. That's awesome, dude. That is awesome. I wish you a lot of success, man. I wish you a lot of continued success, a lot of new success, a lot of business. Yeah. In crypto and investment and in your business and everything, man. I wish you all the success, dude. What else? I mean, we're about wrapping up here. Do you guys have any other questions? Today's mainly, we mainly focused on BTC. We covered stables lightly. I don't know that I want to get into this other stuff. Maybe tonight when I do my stream this evening or off of my personal account, maybe we'll talk about some of this other stuff. But I think for the sake of this stream, I think this about covers it. I mean, really, there's a lot of people feeling a lot of anxiety about Bitcoin right now about this move. Maybe this session gives you at least a little bit of clarity. Not in knowing exactly what's going to happen. Obviously, we just talked about that, but at least in the ways that this could still be reversed, in the ways that we can find opportunity to the upside, to the downside, the way we can hedge, get thinking about ways of, how can I get paid if I'm wrong? How can I get paid if I'm too bearish? How can I get paid if I'm too bullish? Right? I think those are good problems to have, and those are good challenges to create for ourselves. Is okay. I think it's going up. All right. How can I then set myself up to get paid in case I'm wrong and it goes down? Like what could I create for myself? Right? What kind of situation can we create and develop here so that in case I'm wrong, I still get paid? I was wrong. I'll have to take the hit for that, for calling the move up or for whatever, but at least I'll get paid. At least I'll ensure that myself, my friends, my community, we get paid even if we're wrong. How can we create those scenarios? So that's kind of been like my framework recently, is like, man, how do I make sure that I'm always getting paid, even when I'm like very convicted of an idea, of a theory? How can I make sure I get paid and hedge in case it goes the other way? I think it's a good challenge for us to all kind of set for ourselves, Few vids on your Twitter, dude. I'll have to go check them out, man. Yeah. Hey, praise God, man. Yeah. Appreciate you, dude. Appreciate you, dude. Well, all right, family. You know what? I think we're gonna wrap it there. Shout out once again to Public for making these shows a possibility. Go support our sponsors. Go support the people that support us. Go check them out. Public.com/wolf. Go check out what they're doing over there. They're doing some really, really cool stuff. And I think, if you've been looking for a new home for your 401, for your IRA, for your Roth, and you are someone who sees what AI is doing and the potential of AI, and you want to see how you can maybe merge those two worlds, I think you owe it to yourself to go check out Public. So go check them out at public.com/wolf. Presley says, great stream. Hey, I appreciate you taking it all in. Awesome. The levels really help, especially with the stablecoin dominance chart. Hey, awesome. I'm glad you're paying attention. I'm glad you're taking notes. I'm glad you're taking it all in, and appreciate you for coming and hanging with us and supporting the show. See you on Spaces all the time, so it's good to see you on here. I definitely appreciate all that support. All right, well, let's look, guys. Let's leave it there. Shout out to Wolf Bitcoin for letting me come on here and share with you guys and do these shows every single day. But with that, I'm gonna log off. Let me check the Wolf calendar really quickly just to make sure, see what's coming up here. I like to leave you guys with kind of like what the next show is. So 4 p.m. Eastern today, we got BTC Macro with Milo, Rhino, Cade, and crew. Looks like I can't remember. Evan is on there. Matt will be on there. A couple of these other guys are going to be on there. So look, if you're into macro discussions, all that stuff, go check them out. I believe that is a space. Yeah, that's a space. So it won't be a stream. So that'll be on X, 4 p.m. Eastern. Keep an eye on that. I'll probably jump on there as well. I've been jumping on some of these macro shows just to kind of hang out, get a different perspective. And then I think I'll be firing up my personal stream probably closer to 7 p.m., maybe 8 p.m. This evening, Eastern time. this evening. I think we're gonna really go deep into some altcoins. We're probably gonna spend this week on my personal streams just really digging into the altcoins, really, really, really digging into them, looking for actionable setups, all that type of stuff. And who knows? We may be doing some of that here on the Wolf streams as well. If Bitcoin is not doing something that's more important or requiring our attention, we can always dive into some of these alts and look at a little bit there, as well as a little bit of TradFi. There's a lot of TradFi stuff happening. But with that, guys, I'm signing off. Have a great rest of your day. Appreciate y'all, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.